The chamber fell silent as the display screen flickered to life. Ambassador Krell's 3 eyes focused on the rotating image of a small blue planet in an unremarkable star system. Around the circular table, representatives from 40 different species waited for him to speak. "This is Sol 3, Krell said, his voice carrying across the vast room. "Our survey teams found it 3 cycles ago during routine expansion mapping." Commander Zephyk leaned forward, his armored plates clicking together. As head of the Galactic Council's military division, he had seen hundreds of new worlds. This one looked peaceful enough. Blue oceans, green land masses, white clouds drifting across the surface. "It appears habitable," Zephyk said. "What is the classification?" Dr. Yenna, a gentle scientist from a herbivore species, touched her datapad. Her large eyes widened as she read the results. "Class 115 Deathworld," she whispered. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several ambassadors stood from their seats. A Class 115 rating had never been recorded before. The previous highest was Class 87, a volcanic hellscape where nothing could survive. Krell raised one long arm for silence. "The automated scanners have checked their readings 5 times. The classification is correct." "Impossible," Zephyk said. "Show us the environmental data." The display changed. Numbers and graphs filled the screen. Dr. Yenna began reading them aloud, her voice shaking slightly. "Gravity fluctuation across the surface creates extreme pressure variations. The planet has massive storm systems with wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Seismic activity is constant, with tectonic plates that shift and collide regularly. The magnetic field allows dangerous solar radiation to reach the surface at the poles. Ocean depths exceed 11 kilometers with crushing pressure. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is highly combustible." She paused, scrolling through more data. "Temperature ranges from -89 degrees to +56 degrees. The planet hosts carnivorous megafauna weighing over 6,000 kilograms. Venomous species number in the thousands. Disease-causing microorganisms are everywhere. And the moon's gravitational pull creates massive tidal forces that flood coastlines twice daily." Zephyk stared at the screen. "Nothing could live there." "That is what we thought," Krell said quietly. "But our sensors detected something else. Something impossible." He pressed another control. Radio waves appeared on the display, complex patterns of electromagnetic signals streaming from the planet's surface. "Technology," Dr. Yenna breathed. "There is a civilization down there." The chamber filled with nervous chatter. How could any species develop intelligence on such a hostile world? Most civilizations arose on gentle planets with stable climates and abundant resources. This world was designed to kill. "There is more," Krell said. "Our deep space probes found something in the outer system, beyond the 8th planet." The image shifted to show ancient structures floating in the darkness of space. They were old, incredibly old, built from materials that had weathered millions of years of cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts. "Progenitor beacons," Zephyk said, recognition in his voice. "I thought they were myths." "They are real," Krell replied, "and they are still broadcasting." The room fell silent again. The progenitors were an ancient race that had vanished from the galaxy 50,000 years ago. They had been powerful, their technology far beyond anything the current council possessed. Legends said they had mapped every star, explored every world, and then disappeared without explanation. Dr. Yenna activated the translation protocols. The beacon's message began playing through the chamber's speakers. The voice was old and tired, speaking a language that required the computers several seconds to decode. "Beware the children of the pale blue world. They are born of chaos and cannot be broken. We came with peaceful intent. We left with fear in our hearts. Do not approach. Do not engage. Mark this world as forbidden. They survived what should have killed them. They thrived where all others would perish. They are the storm, the flood, the fire, and the ice. They are death walking. Beware, beware, beware. The message repeated, the same warning over and over, echoing through the darkness for thousands of years. Nobody spoke. The implications were staggering. The most powerful civilization in galactic history had fled from this world. They had left warning beacons to keep others away. It must be a malfunction, one ambassador suggested weakly. The progenitors would not run from anything. The beacons are functioning perfectly, Dr. Yenna said. I have verified their systems. The message is genuine. Zephyx stood, his military bearing evident. I recommend immediate quarantine protocols. We establish a perimeter around this system. No ships approach, no contact is made. We classify this world as forbidden and move our expansion efforts elsewhere. Several ambassadors nodded in agreement. The logical choice was to avoid whatever danger lurked on that deadly planet. But Krell was not convinced. We detected their signals. They have radio technology, possibly more. If they have reached that level of development, they will eventually develop faster than light travel. What happens when they come to us? Then we will be ready, Zephyx said. Will we? Krell gestured to the environmental data still displayed on the screen. Look at that world. Look at what they survive every single day. Our soldiers train on Class 30 worlds and consider it hardship. They live on a Class 115. What do you think that makes them? Dr. C. Yenna accessed more of the sensor data. I am detecting multiple population centers, she said. Millions of individuals. Their technology signatures suggest industrial civilization. They have split the atom. They have sent objects into space. She pulled up an intercepted transmission. The screen showed a bipedal figure in bright protective clothing standing on a snow-covered mountain peak. Wind battered the figure, but they remained standing. The audio crackled with static. This is Captain Greg Palmer, broadcasting from the summit of Mount Everest, the figure said, their voice filled with excitement despite the hostile environment. The view from up here is absolutely incredible. -40 degrees, winds at 120 kilometers per hour, and barely enough oxygen to breathe. This is what we call a routine expedition. The figure laughed, actually laughed, while standing in conditions that would kill most council species within minutes. The transmission ended. The chamber remained silent. They climb their mountains for recreation, Dr. Yenna said softly. They go to the most dangerous places on their planet for entertainment. Zephyx's voice was hollow. What kind of species does that? Krell turned to face the council. That is what we need to find out. I propose we send an observation team, hidden at a safe distance. We study them. We learn what they are before we decide what to do. Lieutenant Vera checked the observation ship's position for the third time that hour. They were hidden in Earth's asteroid belt, far enough away to avoid detection but close enough for their sensors to gather detailed information. 6 weeks had passed since the Council had approved this mission, and Vara was beginning to wish they had voted differently. Another one, Technician Crix said from his station, his tentacles moving rapidly across the controls. They are doing it again. Vara moved to look at the screen. A human stood at the open door of an aircraft, 7 kilometers above the ground. The figure wore only thin fabric and had a pack strapped to their back. Then, without hesitation, the human jumped. Emergency, Crix said, his voice rising in panic. Should we intervene? Wait, Dr. Yenna said calmly. She had insisted on joining the observation mission, claiming scientific necessity. Now she watched the falling human with focused intensity. Watch what happens. The human fell for several seconds, arms and legs spread wide. Then they pulled a cord and a large fabric canopy deployed above them. The descent slowed. The human drifted down peacefully and landed softly on the ground. On the audio feed, Vara could hear the human laughing. They do this for enjoyment, Dr. Yenna said, making notes on her pad. I have recorded 47 instances of humans deliberately jumping from high places with these fabric devices. Cricks's skin changed to a pale shade that indicated distress. Their danger assessment protocols are malfunctioning. They should feel fear. They do feel fear, Dr. Yenna corrected. I have monitored their biological responses. Their heart rates increase. Their bodies release stress hormones. They are afraid. But they override that fear deliberately. Vara did not understand. Every species in the galaxy had survival instincts. Those instincts kept you alive. You did not ignore them. You certainly did not seek out situations that triggered them for entertainment. Show me the medical facility data again, Vara said. Cricks brought up the surveillance footage from a human building they had identified as a hospital. The observation team had been monitoring it for 2 weeks, trying to understand human medicine. The camera focused on Dr. Lisa Carter, a human physician working in what they called an emergency room. Vara watched as Lisa moved between patients with calm efficiency. A human arrived with a broken limb. Another had severe burns. A third was bleeding from multiple wounds sustained in what the humans casually called a car accident. She has been working for 16 hours without rest, Dr. Yenna noted. Most council species would require medical attention themselves after such a shift. She will continue for another 8 hours before stopping. Vara watched Lisa set a broken bone, her hands steady despite obvious fatigue. The injury would have required surgical intervention for most species. The human doctor simply pulled the bone back into alignment, applied a rigid support, and sent the patient home with instructions to rest. How long until that injury heals? Vara asked. 6 to 8 weeks, Dr. Yenna replied. The bone will be stronger than before at the break point. Human skeletal structure is designed to repair and reinforce itself. Designed by whom? By their planet, Dr. Yenna said quietly. Everything about them is a response to that hostile environment. Redundant organ systems, extreme healing capacity, the ability to function on minimal sleep. They can survive with only one of many paired organs. Their bodies store energy as fat reserves for times of scarcity. They can adapt to extreme temperatures. They can even modify their own biology through exercise and training. Cricks pulled up more data. I have been monitoring their communication networks. They have something called the Internet. It contains vast amounts of information about their civilization. What have you learned? Vara asked. They are terrifying, Cricks said simply. He displayed images on the screen. Humans climbing sheer rock faces with only their hands and feet. Humans diving deep underwater with mechanical breathing devices. Humans racing vehicles at dangerous speeds. Humans skiing down steep mountains. These are recreational activities, Cricks continued. Things they do for fun. I found records of humans climbing the highest mountain on their planet. Dozens have died trying, but hundreds keep attempting it because it is there. Vara stared at the images. Because it is there? That is their reasoning? Yes. Dr. Yenna pulled up another file. I found something more disturbing. Watch this. The screen showed a building on fire, flames pouring from the windows. Smoke filled the air. A human in protective gear ran toward the building while everyone else ran away. That is Jake Morrison, Dr. Yenna said. His profession is firefighter. He enters burning structures to rescue others. Vara watched Jake disappear into the smoke and flames. Minutes passed. Then he emerged, carrying a small human in his arms. A child. Jake handed the child to others, then went back into the fire. He made 3 more trips, bringing out 2 more children and an adult before the building collapsed. He risked death 4 times, Cricks said, for individuals who were not even his offspring. They have a concept called altruism, Dr. Yenna explained. Self-sacrifice for others. It appears frequently in their culture. They run into danger to save strangers. They donate their own organs to save dying individuals they have never met. They create organizations dedicated to helping those who cannot help themselves. Vera felt something unfamiliar. It took a moment to recognize it as respect. These humans were not just fearless, they were brave. There was a difference. "Show me their military capabilities," Vera said. Crix hesitated. "Are you certain?" "Show me." The screen filled with images of human warfare, weapons that threw metal projectiles at supersonic speeds, explosive devices that could level entire structures, aircraft that moved faster than sound, and then the most terrifying discovery. "They have nuclear weapons," Crix said. "Devices that use atomic fission to create massive explosions. A single weapon can destroy an entire city. They have enough to make their planet uninhabitable." "And they have not used them?" Vera asked. "Not since they learned what the weapons could do," Dr. Yenna said. "They came close to destroying themselves several decades ago. But they stopped. They chose not to." That choice required cooperation between rival nations who did not trust each other. Vara processed this information. The humans had the power to end their own civilization, and they chose not to use it. That suggested intelligence along with their apparent fearlessness. "What about their space program?" Vera asked. Crix pulled up more files. "They have sent humans into orbit around their planet. They landed humans on their moon using primitive rocket technology. 12 individuals walked on the lunar surface. They returned safely." The screen showed grainy footage of a human in a bulky suit stepping onto gray soil. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," the human said. "Their spacecraft had less computing power than a modern entertainment device," Dr. Yenna added. "The journey was incredibly dangerous. They went anyway." Vera looked at the blue planet hanging in space on the main view screen, a Class 115 Deathworld. The automated systems had classified it correctly, but they had missed something crucial. The planet was not just hostile to life, it was a forge. It had hammered the humans who lived there into something extraordinary. Every challenge had made them stronger. Every danger had taught them to adapt. Every threat had forced them to become more resilient. "I found something else," Crix said nervously. "Human entertainment media. They create fictional stories for enjoyment." "What kind of stories?" "Horror," Crix said. "They deliberately frighten themselves for pleasure. They also create stories about disasters, wars, and apocalyptic scenarios. Then they analyze how they would survive those situations." Dr. Yenna brought up her own findings. "I have been studying their evolution. They are persistence predators. On their ancient savannas, they hunted prey by chasing it until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. They can run for hours without stopping. They cool themselves through sweat, allowing continuous exertion in heat that would kill most species. They are built for endurance." "What are you saying?" Vera asked. "I am saying that the progenitor warning was accurate," Dr. Yenna replied. "These humans evolved to survive on a world that constantly tried to kill them. They did not just survive. They conquered it. They eliminated most of their natural predators. They built civilizations that span their entire planet. They have only existed as a technological species for a few thousand years, yet they have already reached space." "And they are getting stronger," Crix added. "Their technology improves exponentially. Their space program is expanding. They are discussing missions to their neighboring planets. How long before they develop faster-than-light travel?" Vera knew the answer. Not long. Maybe decades. Certainly within a century or two. And when they did, they would spread across the galaxy. An alarm sounded. Vera rushed to the navigation console. "What is it?" "We have been detected," Crix said, his voice filled with panic. "A human satellite network has locked onto our position." "How?" "They were not supposed to be able to detect our stealth technology," Crix said. "But they have been scanning the asteroid belt with radio telescopes. They found an anomaly. Us." Vera made a quick decision. "Activate the jump drive. We leave now." As the ship began charging its engines, Vara took one last look at Earth. The humans down there had no idea they had just discovered their first evidence of alien life. But they would figure Dr. Yenna had not slept in 2 days. The observation team had returned from Earth with their findings, and she had immediately requested access to the Galactic archives. Not the public databases that any citizen could browse. She wanted the deep archives, the classified records that went back millennia. Ambassador Krell had denied her request 3 times. She had persisted. Finally, with Commander Zephic's support, she had been granted access. Now she stood in the vast underground facility on the archive world, surrounded by data storage systems that held the complete history of galactic civilization. Archivist Prime Solace approached her slowly. He was old, even by his species' standards. His body was frail, but his mind remained sharp. He had overseen these archives for over 200 years. "You seek information about the progenitors," Solace said. It was not a question. "Yes," Dr. Yenna replied, "specifically their records about Sol 3, about Earth." Solace was quiet for a long moment. "That information is sealed. It has been sealed for 50,000 years. I have authorization from the Council." "Authorization and wisdom are not the same thing," Solace said. "Some knowledge is dangerous, Dr. Yenna. Some truths are better left buried." "The humans are developing faster than light technology," Dr. Yenna said. "They will be traveling the stars soon. We need to understand what the progenitors discovered. We need to know why they ran." Solace studied her with ancient eyes. Then he sighed. "Follow me." They descended into deeper levels of the archive, past security systems that scanned them multiple times. Finally, they reached a chamber that looked like it had not been opened in centuries. Solace placed his hand on a panel, and the door slid open. Inside was a single data core, glowing faintly in the darkness. "This contains the complete progenitor records of their encounter with Sol 3, Solace said. "Everything they learned, everything they feared. I warn you, Doctor, once you access this information, you cannot unlearn it." Dr. Yenna touched the data core. It activated, and information flooded into her portable device. She began reading, and as she did, she understood why this knowledge had been sealed. The progenitors had been explorers. They had mapped the galaxy, cataloging every world and every species. 50,000 years ago, they had discovered Earth. It was in an ice age, covered in glaciers. The climate was brutal. Most species would have classified it as uninhabitable, but life existed there. The progenitors found a primitive species living in small groups, using stone tools and wearing animal skins. Homo sapiens, humans. The progenitors had been curious. They always were. They took specimens for study, just as they had done on hundreds of other worlds. 3 adult humans, transported to a research vessel in orbit. That was their first mistake. Dr. Yenna read the reports with growing horror. The humans had been terrified at first, as any primitive species would be. But they had not remained terrified. They adapted. They observed. They learned. One report detailed how a human male had studied the force field containing him. He had tested it repeatedly, throwing objects at it, touching it carefully, mapping its dimensions. Then he had found a flaw in the design, a spot where 2 field generators created a weak point. He had used a piece of broken furniture to short-circuit the generators. Then he had escaped. The research vessel had sophisticated security systems, automated defenses, armed guards. The human had been wearing primitive clothing and had no weapons. It had not mattered. The report from the security chief was clinical in its description. The human had improvised weapons from materials found on the ship, a piece of metal tubing, a shard of broken glass. He had moved through the vessel like a hunter stalking prey, using shadows and corners to ambush guards. 3 progenitor soldiers armed with energy weapons and wearing protective armor had been killed. The human had used their own weapons against them. He had been wounded twice, bleeding from multiple injuries. He had kept fighting. The other 2 humans had escaped during the chaos. Together, the three had made their way to an escape pod and launched it toward Earth. The progenitors had been too shocked to stop them. A second expedition had been sent to recapture the humans and eliminate the threat. This was detailed in another set of reports. The progenitors had gone to Earth's surface with a military force. They would take more specimens, study the species properly, and determine if humans posed any real danger. They had landed in what the reports called a temperate region near a large water body. The humans had been there, living in caves, hunting massive animals with nothing but spears and intelligence. The progenitor soldiers had advanced weapons, energy shields, powered armor. They should have been invincible, but the humans had studied them. The three who had escaped had taught the others everything they had learned about the aliens. The humans had prepared. They used tactics the progenitors had never encountered. They separated the soldiers, using the terrain to their advantage. They dug pits and covered them. They created avalanches. They attacked at night when the progenitors' visual sensors were less effective. The humans lost dozens of their people, but they kept fighting. They learned from every encounter. They adapted their strategies, and slowly, impossibly, they won. The progenitor expedition leader's final report was brief. "We are withdrawing from Sol 3. The species there is unlike anything we have encountered. They are primitive, but they learn with terrifying speed. They do not surrender. They do not break. They accept casualties that would destroy the morale of any civilized species and continue fighting. I recommend this world be marked as forbidden and never approached again." Dr. Yenna set down her device, her hands shaking. The progenitors, the most advanced civilization in galactic history, had fled from Stone Age humans. "There is more," Solace said quietly. He activated a holographic display. The progenitors left one final analysis. Their scientists studied the humans extensively before withdrawing. They wanted to understand what made them so dangerous. The hologram showed a human skeleton, then layers of muscle, organs, and systems. A progenitor scientist's voice began speaking, the translation software rendering it in the common galactic language. "The species Homo sapiens has evolved on a Class 115 Deathworld. This has had profound effects on their biology and psychology. They are persistent predators, capable of running for hours without rest. Their bodies regulate temperature through sweat, allowing continuous exertion. They have redundant organ systems and extraordinary healing capacity. They can survive injuries that would kill most spacefaring species." The hologram shifted to show a human brain. But their true danger lies here. The human brain is wired for pattern recognition, problem-solving, and social cooperation. They are highly intelligent and capable of rapid learning. However, their danger assessment protocols are fundamentally different from ours. The voice paused, and Dr. Yenna heard something she had never expected from a progenitor scientist: fear. Humans can override their survival instincts. They can choose to face danger despite their fear. They will sacrifice themselves for others, even strangers. They form deep emotional bonds and will fight to protect those bonds with suicidal determination. They do not calculate odds like a civilized species. They calculate meaning and purpose. The hologram showed humans in various situations: hunting, fighting, protecting their young, building, creating. Most species evolve on stable worlds where cooperation and caution ensure survival. Humans evolved in constant crisis: ice ages, predators, disease, famine. Their world tried to kill them every single day. They survived by being stubborn, creative, and absolutely unwilling to give up. The recording ended. Dr. Yenna stood in silence, processing what she had learned. "Now you understand," Solace said. "The progenitors left the warning beacons not because humans were evil or aggressive. They left them because humans are survivors. They are the product of 200,000 years of evolution on a planet that should not support intelligent life. They are dangerous because they refuse to accept defeat." Dr. Yenna thought about everything the observation team had witnessed. Humans jumping from aircraft, running into fires, climbing mountains, going to space in primitive machines. It all made sense now. "They are not broken," she said. "They are optimized for their environment." "Yes," Solace agreed. "And now they are developing technology. Soon they will leave their planet. And when they do, they will bring that survivor's mentality with them." Dr. Yenna accessed her own data from the observation mission. She pulled up footage of Kevin Hughes, a human archaeologist giving a lecture to students at a university. The team had recorded it while monitoring human academic institutions. "Human history is a story of survival," Kevin was saying, his voice passionate. "We faced ice ages that lasted thousands of years. We hunted animals 10 times our size with nothing but sharp rocks. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We built civilizations, saw them fall, and built them again. We split the atom. We went to the moon. We connected the entire world through computer networks. And you know what the most amazing thing is?" Kevin paused, looking at his students. "We are just getting started. Every challenge made us stronger. Every setback taught us something new. We are a species that thrives on adversity. So when people ask me if humanity has a future, I tell them this: we have survived everything our planet could throw at us. We will survive whatever comes next." The lecture hall erupted in applause. Dr. Yenna stopped the recording. "They do not know we exist yet," she said. "But they are preparing for us anyway." Solace nodded. The progenitors studied thousands of species. They documented civilizations across the galaxy, but humans were the only species they feared. "Do you understand why?" Dr. Yenna thought about it. The progenitors had been powerful, advanced, confident. They had mastered space travel, energy manipulation, and genetic engineering. They had thought themselves the pinnacle of evolution. Then they met humans. Primitive, violent, stubborn humans who refused to be conquered, who learned from every defeat, who kept fighting no matter the cost. The progenitors feared humans because humans showed them they could be defeated, Dr. Yenna said, by a species that should not even exist. "Precisely," Solace said, "and that fear was well-founded. Look what happened. The progenitors vanished. Every one of their worlds is empty. Their civilization collapsed. Meanwhile, humans are still here, still surviving, still growing stronger." Dr. Yenna felt a chill. She had not considered that connection before. The timing was suggestive, though not conclusive. "I need to take this information to the council," she said. "They will not like what you tell them," Solace warned. "No," Dr. Yenna agreed, "but they need to know, especially now." "Why especially now?" Dr. Yenna pulled up the latest intelligence reports. "The Kresh Dominion is expanding toward human space. They are a brutal species who conquer through overwhelming force. They enslave everyone they defeat, and their expansion route will reach Earth's sector within 5 years. Solace was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The Kresh have never faced defeat. They believe themselves unstoppable." "Yes? They do not know about the humans yet." "No." "Then the galaxy is about to learn an important lesson," Solace said. "The same lesson the progenitors learned 50,000 years ago. You do not threaten the children of the Deathworld. You do not back them into a corner, because humans who have nothing left to lose are the most dangerous force in the universe." Dr. Yenna gathered her data and prepared to leave. As she walked away, Solace called after. The ship appeared over New York City at exactly 10 a.m. local time. It was impossible to miss. 3 kilometers long, shaped like a crescent moon, made of materials that seemed to shift between silver and gold, depending on the angle of the sun. It hovered silently above the United Nations building, defying every law of physics humanity understood. Around the world, every screen showed the same image. Air traffic halted. Stock markets crashed. Emergency broadcasts flooded every channel. People poured into the streets, staring at the sky. Inside the UN building, Director Helen Foster stood at the window of the Secretary General's office, looking up at the alien vessel. She was 54 years old, had spent 30 years in diplomatic service, and had planned for many scenarios. This was not one of them. "Ma'am," her assistant said, voice shaking, "they are broadcasting on all frequencies. They want to talk." Helen turned from the window. Around her, the office had transformed into a command center. Military advisors, scientists, and diplomats from dozens of countries filled the room. Among them stood Colonel Ryan Mitchell, looking calm despite the chaos. He had spent 20 years in the military and had seen combat on 3 continents. He was not easily rattled. Next to him was Dr. Nathan Cross, NASA's leading scientist and the government's choice for first contact specialist. Nathan had dreamed of this moment his entire life. Now that it was here, he looked terrified and excited in equal measure. "What do they want?" Helen asked. "To meet with Earth's leadership," Nathan said, listening to the translation his team was providing. "They are requesting permission to land and speak with us." Ryan stepped forward. "We need to establish security protocols first. We know nothing about them. This could be an invasion force." "If they wanted to invade, they could have done it already," Nathan pointed out. "That ship has enough firepower to destroy this city. They are asking permission. That suggests peaceful intent." Helen made her decision. "Tell them they can send a delegation. Small group, no weapons. We meet in the General Assembly Hall in 1 hour." The response came immediately. "Agreed." 58 minutes later, Helen stood at the center of the General Assembly Hall. Representatives from every nation sat in the curved rows of seats, silent and waiting. Ryan stood to her right, hand resting near his sidearm, even though it would be useless against alien technology. Nathan stood to her left, holding a tablet filled with prepared speeches and protocols. A transport beam materialized in the open space before them. 3 figures appeared. The first was tall and thin, with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on its elongated head. Its skin was a deep blue, and it wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. This was Ambassador Krell. The second was shorter and broader, covered in overlapping plates of natural armor. Commander Zephyk, military bearing evident in every movement. The third was smaller, with large eyes and gentle features. Dr. Yenna, who had insisted on coming despite protocol concerns. For a long moment, nobody moved. Humans and aliens regarded each other across the space that represented 200,000 years of separate evolution. Then Helen stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I am Director Helen Foster, Secretary General of the United Nations. On behalf of humanity, I greet you." Krell's translation device activated. "I am Ambassador Krell of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and with urgent purpose." The formal introductions continued. Names were exchanged, protocols observed. Then everyone sat, and the real conversation began. "How long have you known about us?" Helen asked. 3 months, Krell said. "We discovered your world during routine surveys." 3 months, Ryan repeated, his voice hard. "And you have been watching us without making contact until now?" "We needed to understand you first," Krell said. "Your world is classified as highly dangerous. We had to determine if contact was safe." Nathan leaned forward. "Dangerous? Earth?" Dr. Yenna spoke for the first time, her voice soft but clear. "Your planet is a Class 115 Deathworld, the highest danger rating in our system. The conditions here would kill most species within hours. Yet you not only survive, you thrive." Helen glanced at Ryan. They had prepared for many possible scenarios. Being told their home was considered a death trap had not been one of them. "You seem to be managing fine," Helen noted, gesturing to the aliens sitting comfortably in Earth's atmosphere and gravity. "We are using protective technology," Zephyk said. "Without it, Your gravity would crush my bones. Your oxygen levels would burn my lungs. Your background radiation would poison my cells. The assembly hall erupted in whispers. Helen raised her hand for silence. "Why are you here now?" she asked. "What changed?" Krell's expression shifted to something that might have been regret. "We need your help." He activated a holographic display. A star map appeared, showing vast sections of the galaxy. One area was marked in red, expanding slowly but steadily. "This is the Kresh Dominion," Krell said. "They are a military empire that conquers through overwhelming force. They have enslaved 43 species and destroyed 12 civilizations that refuse to surrender. They are expanding toward your region of space." "How long until they reach us?" Ryan asked, his military training taking over. 5 years, Zephyk said. "Perhaps less." "And you want us to help you fight them," Helen said. It was not a question. "Yes." The assembly hall filled with voices, some angry, some excited, all confused. Helen let them talk for a moment, then called for silence again. "Let me make sure I understand," she said. "You classify our world as a nightmare of hostile conditions. You have been watching us in secret. And now you show up asking for military assistance against an empire that has conquered dozens of species. Do I have that right?" "Yes," Krell said. "That is insulting," Ryan said flatly. Krell's 3 eyes blinked in confusion. "We offer you technology, alliance, a place in galactic civilization. How is that insulting?" Nathan touched Helen's arm and whispered urgently. She nodded and turned back to the aliens. "You come to us asking for help," Helen said carefully, "but you have not offered us anything we cannot eventually develop ourselves. Technology advances. We will have interstellar travel within decades. What you are really offering is the chance to fight your war for you." "That is not accurate," Krell protested. "Then tell me," Helen said. "If we help you defeat the Kresh, what happens after? Do we get full membership in your council? Or do we go back to being the dangerous curiosity that you watch from a distance?" Krell hesitated. That hesitation told Helen everything she needed to know. "You are afraid of us," she said. "That is why you have not contacted us before. That is why you are only here now when you are desperate." "We are cautious," Dr. Yenna said. "Not without reason." "Your species has capabilities that concern us." "Such as?" Nathan asked. Dr. Yenna pulled up her own data. Footage appeared of humans engaging in various activities: skydiving, rock climbing, deep sea diving, marathon running. "You seek danger for recreation," she said. "You override survival instincts that keep other species alive. You have created weapons capable of destroying your own planet, yet you choose not to use them. You work together in crisis, but fight among yourselves during peace. You are unpredictable." "We are human," Helen said simply. "We are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fight and disagree. But we also help each other. We create. We explore. We survive." She stood, and her voice carried through the hall. "You came here because you need us, because the Kresh are coming, and you cannot stop them alone. You need what makes you afraid of us, our willingness to take risks, our refusal to surrender, our ability to adapt and overcome." Krell started to speak, but Helen was not finished. "But we are not weapons you can pick up and put down when convenient. We are people. We have families, cultures, dreams. If you want our help, you need to treat us as equals." "What are your terms?" Zephyk asked bluntly. Ryan stepped forward. "Full membership in the Galactic Council, not provisional, not observer status. Full voting rights. Technology sharing," Nathan added. "Complete access to your databases, your research, your history, no restrictions." "Protection guarantees," Helen said. "Earth's sovereignty is recognized and defended by Council forces. No species can threaten or invade our world without council response. And one more thing, Ryan said. You teach us everything you know about the Kresh. Their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. If we are going to fight them, we do it with full information. Krell looked at Zephyk. Zephyk looked at Dr. Yenna. The three aliens conferred quietly. I do not have authority to agree to these terms, Krell finally said. Then get authority, Helen said. Because those are our conditions. Take them or leave them. Krell stood. I will relay your demands to the council, but I must warn you they may not agree. Then you will lose, Ryan said calmly. The Kresh will keep expanding. They will conquer more worlds. Eventually they will reach Earth, and we will fight them alone if we must. We have been fighting our entire history. We know how to survive. Dr. Yenna spoke quietly. You do not understand. The Kresh have never been defeated. They are ruthless and powerful. Nathan smiled. And you do not understand us. You think Earth is dangerous? You think our survival instincts are broken? You are right, but that is exactly what makes us dangerous to the Kresh, not to you. He pulled up images on his tablet. Human history, wars, conflicts, struggles. We have fought each other for thousands of years, Nathan said. We have survived ice ages, plagues, famines, and disasters. We have been knocked down more times than you can count. And every single time, we got back up. That is what we do. We survive, we adapt, we overcome. Helen addressed Krell directly. You came here desperate. You need us. So stop treating us like a dangerous animal and start treating us like the allies you need. We will help you fight the Kresh, but only as equals. The assembly hall was completely silent. Every human in the room understood what was happening. This was not just first contact. This was humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. What they said here, what they demanded, would define their place in the universe. Krell looked at the humans for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I will present your terms to the council. I believe they will agree. The Kresh threat is too great to refuse your help. How long? Ryan asked. 3 days. The council is debating the situation now. I will advocate for your terms. See that you do, Helen said. She extended her hand. We look forward to working with you as equals. Krell studied the extended hand, then carefully took it. The gesture was awkward, but sincere. One question, Nathan said as the aliens prepared to leave. Why us? The galaxy is full of species. Why come to the humans you fear? Dr. Yenna answered. Because the Kresh have conquered 43 species using the same strategy. Overwhelming force, brutal efficiency, and the assumption that victory is inevitable. But they have never fought a species like you. They do not know what it means to face an opponent who refuses to surrender, who treats every setback as a lesson, who gets more dangerous when cornered. She looked at each human in turn. We came to you because we need warriors, and you are the children of a death world. War is in your blood. We prefer peace, Helen said firmly. But we will defend ourselves and our allies. That is what you need to understand about humanity. We do not want to fight, but if we must, we will not stop until we win. The aliens transported back to their ship. The assembly hall erupted in conversation, everyone talking at once. Helen returned to her office with Ryan and Nathan. They looked out the window at the alien ship still hovering over the city. Do you think they will agree to our terms? Nathan asked. They have to, Ryan said. They are out of options. Helen was quiet for a moment. Then she said, They called us the children of a death world. They think our planet made us into warriors. Didn't it? Ryan asked. Maybe, Helen said. But Earth also made us into builders, artists, dreamers, and explorers. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council agreed to humanity's terms. The joint military facility on Earth's moon had become a hub of activity with ships from 40 different species docked alongside human vessels. Admiral Christine Parker stood on the observation deck, watching the controlled chaos of preparation. She was the first human to hold the rank of admiral in the combined Earth Defense Force. At 47, she had spent her entire career in the Navy, rising through the ranks through skill and determination. Now she commanded a fleet of ships that included both human and alien technology, crewed by species who 3 months ago did not know Earth existed. "Admiral," Commander Zephyk said, approaching from behind. The alien military officer had been assigned as liaison to human forces. In 3 months, he had learned to respect the humans, though he still found them terrifying. "The Council fleet reports ready status." "And our forces?" Christine asked. "Captain Palmer's squadron completed final training exercises this morning," Zephyk replied. "All systems operational." Christine nodded. Greg Palmer had been a mountain climber when first contact happened. He had also been a pilot with extensive experience. When the military started recruiting for the new defense force, Greg had volunteered immediately. His understanding of risk and his ability to stay calm under pressure had made him a natural choice for squadron command. "What is the tactical situation?" Christine asked. Zephyk activated a holographic display. A star system appeared with multiple red markers indicating enemy positions. "The Kresh forward fleet is here, preparing to attack Council territory. 40 warships, heavily armed. Standard Kresh strategy is to overwhelm defensive positions with concentrated firepower." "And our plan?" "We wait for them to commit to their attack pattern, then hit them from an unexpected angle," Zephyk said. He paused. "Admiral, I must ask, are you certain about this strategy? It puts your ships at significant risk." Christine smiled. "Commander, your people have fought the Kresh the same way for decades. Defensive positions, heavy shields, trying to outlast their assault. It has not worked. You lose ground every time." "And you believe your approach will be different?" "I know it will," Christine said, "because we are not going to fight the way they expect. We are going to be unpredictable, aggressive, and absolutely unwilling to back down. That is the human way." In the training bay, Dr. Yenna watched human Marines run combat drills alongside Council soldiers. The difference was striking. Council troops moved carefully, conserving energy, maintaining formation. Human troops moved fast and hard, pushing themselves to exhaustion, then pushing further. Lieutenant Vara, who had led the first observation mission to Earth, stood beside her. "They train like every exercise is real combat," he said. "Because to them, it is," Dr. Yenna replied. "They do not practice to look good. They practice to survive." One exercise showed a human soldier designated as injured. 2 teammates immediately moved to extract him, providing covering fire while dragging their comrade to safety. The speed and coordination were impressive. "They never leave their wounded behind," Vara observed. "Never," Dr. Yenna confirmed. "It is one of their core principles. No one gets left behind. That loyalty makes them stronger as a unit." On the training mat, a human Marine named Jake Morrison sparred with a Council soldier from a species known for physical strength. The alien was larger, stronger, and better equipped, but Jake was faster and more creative. He used the alien's strength against it, redirecting attacks and finding weak points in armor. The match ended with Jake winning through technique rather than power. The alien soldier respectfully acknowledged defeat. "They are teaching us as much as we are teaching them," Vara said. "Yes," Dr. Yenna agreed. Human combat doctrine emphasizes adaptability. They learn from every encounter. The Kresh have never faced an enemy like that. 2 weeks later, the combined fleet arrived at the border system. Christine stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, a hybrid ship that combined human and alien technology. Around her, crew members from 6 different species worked at their stations. Crash fleet detected, the sensor officer reported. 40 capital ships moving into attack formation. Christine studied the tactical display. The Crash ships were massive, bristling with weapons. They moved in a tight formation, presenting a unified front of overwhelming firepower. They are following standard protocol, Zephyk said. They will concentrate fire on our defensive positions, break through, then systematically destroy our fleet. How many times has that strategy worked for them? Christine asked. Every time, Zephyk admitted. Then they are overconfident, Christine said. That is their weakness. Signal Captain Palmer, execute Plan Delta. In the cockpit of his fighter, Greg Palmer received the order. Roger that, Admiral. All wings, this is Palmer. We are going in. His squadron consisted of 20 fighters, half human-designed and half Council technology. They broke formation and accelerated toward the Crash fleet at speeds that made the Council pilots uncomfortable. Palmer, you are moving too fast, one Council pilot said nervously. We should maintain safe approach speeds. Safe does not win battles, Greg replied. Trust me and follow my lead. The Crash fleet noticed the approaching fighters, but dismissed them as insignificant. Fighters could not seriously damage capital ships. They continued their advance toward the Council defensive positions. That was their mistake. Greg led his squadron not at the Crash ships, but past them. The fighters moved in a pattern that appeared random, but was actually carefully calculated. They wove between capital ships, forcing the Crash to choose between ignoring them or breaking formation to respond. The Crash chose to respond. Several ships turned to target the fighters, breaking the tight formation that was their strength. Now, Christine said from the command bridge, all ships, attack pattern human alpha. The Council fleet did something they had never done before. Instead of holding defensive positions, they advanced. Instead of spreading out to minimize damage, they concentrated on the gaps Greg's squadron had created in the Crash formation. The Crash war leader Throck watched in confusion as the enemy ships charged directly at his fleet. This was not how Council forces fought. They were supposed to defend, to retreat, to gradually lose ground while minimizing casualties. Return to formation, Throck ordered. Focus fire on the advancing ships. But the Council ships were already among his fleet, too close for the Crash's heavy weapons to target effectively. And behind them came something Throck had not expected. Human assault ships, smaller and faster than traditional warships, attached themselves to Crash hulls like parasites. Airlock cutters began burning through armor. They are boarding us, Throck's tactical officer reported in disbelief. Impossible, Throck said. No one boards Crash vessels. Our internal defenses are impenetrable. The first breaching team included Jake Morrison, the firefighter who had become a Marine. He led his squad through the smoking hole in the Crash hull, moving fast and low. Crash soldiers opened fire immediately. Jake's team scattered, using the environment itself as cover. The Crash expected enemies to retreat from their superior firepower. Instead, the humans advanced, using tactics developed through thousands of years of warfare on Earth. Flashbang, Jake called. His teammate threw the device. The Crash soldiers, unprepared for such a primitive weapon, were blinded and disoriented. The human team moved through them like water flowing around rocks. On the command bridge, Christine watched the tactical display as green markers indicating human boarding teams appeared on multiple Crash ships. Each team was small, just 6 to 8 soldiers, but they were causing chaos throughout the enemy fleet. How are they doing that? A Council officer asked in amazement. The Crash have twice their numbers and superior firepower. They are not fighting fair, Christine said. They are fighting to win. There is a difference. On the Crash flagship, Throck realized his fleet was falling apart. The tight formations that had won 100 battles were broken. His ships were fighting individually instead of as a unified force. And the humans were inside his vessels, moving through corridors with terrifying efficiency. All ships, retreat, Throck ordered. Reform at Rally Point Delta 7. But the order came too late. Greg Palmer's fighters had circled back and were now targeting the Kresh engines. Without mobility, retreat was impossible. Throck made a decision he had never made before. He abandoned his command ship, taking an escape pod to a secondary vessel. As he fled, he watched human soldiers reach his bridge, their weapons ready, their movements coordinated and precise. The Battle of the Border lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Kresh fleet had scattered in disarray. 20 of their 40 ships were disabled or destroyed. The rest had fled into deep space. The Council fleet had lost 3 ships and taken moderate damage to several others. But they had won. For the first time in decades, the Kresh had been defeated. Christine stood on the observation deck as the fleet regrouped. Damaged ships limped toward repair stations. Medical teams worked frantically to treat the wounded. She had lost 127 people in the battle, and each loss weighed on her. But they had won. Ambassador Krell arrived on the command ship 2 hours later. He found Christine in the medical bay, visiting wounded soldiers. "Admiral," he said formally, "the Council wishes to commend you and your forces. What you accomplished today was thought impossible." "We did what needed to be done," Christine said. "And we did it together. Human and Council forces working as one." Krell nodded slowly. "I must admit something. When we first discovered your world, we thought you were a danger to galactic peace. We feared what you might become. And now? Now I understand that fear was misplaced," Krell said. "You are dangerous, yes, but only to those who would harm the innocent. The progenitor warning was incomplete. They called you children of chaos who could not be broken, but they missed the most important part, which is, you are also protectors," Krell said. "You ran into burning buildings to save strangers. You worked endless hours to heal the wounded. You faced death to defend people you had just met. That is what makes you truly exceptional. Not your strength or your resilience, but your compassion." Christine was quiet for a moment, then she said, "We learned something from this battle too. We thought we had to teach you to fight like us. Aggressive, unpredictable, taking risks. But that was wrong." "How so?" "Because you have your own strengths," Christine said. "Your technology is superior. Your discipline is remarkable. Your understanding of tactics and strategy is excellent. We do not need to make you more like us. We need to combine our strengths. That is how we will truly be unstoppable." 3 days later, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The news of the Kresh defeat had spread across known space. Species that had lived in fear for decades now had hope. Dr. Yenna presented her findings to the assembled representatives. The human combat doctrine is based on 3 principles: adapt, overcome, and never surrender. Combined with Council technology and coordination, these principles create a force unlike anything the galaxy has seen. She displayed footage from the battle. Human and alien soldiers working together, fighters coordinated by both species, tactics that blended human aggression with Council precision. But the most important discovery is this, Dr. Yenna continued. Humans fight not for conquest or glory, but for protection. They see themselves as guardians. When they commit to defending something, they do so absolutely. Ambassador Krell stood. "The Council has made its decision. Earth is granted full membership status. All restrictions are lifted. Humanity is welcomed as an equal partner in galactic civilization." He paused, then added, "And the galactic maps will be updated. Earth's classification will remain Class 115 Deathworld, but a new designation will be added. Home to humanity. Proceed with respect." The vote passed unanimously. Back on Earth, the news was received with celebration. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had allies, friends, and a place among the stars. In orbit above Earth, human and council ships patrolled together. The flagship bore a new emblem, designed jointly by both civilizations. It showed a blue planet circled by stars with the words, "Unity through Strength" beneath it in 40 different languages. Christine stood on the bridge, watching Earth turn slowly below. She thought about how far humanity had come, from a species that was feared and avoided, to full members of galactic civilization. Greg Palmer joined her, his squadron having just completed patrol duties. "What are you thinking, Admiral?" "That the progenitors were right to be cautious," Christine said. "Earth is a death world. It made us dangerous. But it also made us who we are. And who we are is exactly what the galaxy needs." "Protectors?" Greg asked. "Protectors," Christine confirmed. "We survived our world by taking care of each other. Now we extend that protection to our allies. The Kresh learned that lesson. Others will too." Far across the galaxy, in the scattered remnants of the Kresh fleet, war leader Throck prepared his report. He had never been defeated before. His pride demanded revenge, but he had also never faced an enemy like the humans. They fought with a ferocity that matched their compassion. They protected their wounded with the same intensity they attacked their enemies. They were unpredictable, creative, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. Throck made his decision. The report would recommend against further conflict with Council space. Not out of fear, but out of pragmatism. The humans had changed the balance of power. The children of the Death World had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, in a small town in Colorado, a teacher showed her students images of the alien ships in orbit. The children asked questions, excited and curious about the beings from other worlds. "Will we meet them someday?" one child asked. "Yes," the teacher said. "Someday you might travel to their worlds, learn their languages, share their cultures. The universe is open to us now." "Are we really from a death world?" another child asked. The teacher smiled. "Earth can be harsh and dangerous, but it is also beautiful and full of life. It made us strong, it made us resilient, and it made us value each other. So yes, we are from a death world, but that is nothing to fear. It is something to be proud of." She pointed at the stars visible through the classroom window. "Out there, species are learning about humanity. They are learning that we survived the impossible, that we reached for the stars despite every obstacle, that we protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is our legacy. That is what it means to be human." The children looked up at the stars with wonder. They were the next generation, the ones who would grow up in a galaxy that knew about Earth. They would be explorers, diplomats, scientists, and guardians. They were the children of the Death World, and their story was just beginning. Above Earth, the galactic map updated one final time. The blue planet marked as Class 115 Death World now bore an additional label that would remain for generations to come. Earth, home to humanity, protectors of the innocent, guardians of the weak, allies to the just, approach with respect, leave in peace. The legend was no longer a warning. It was a promise. We are more than just survivors. We need to make sure the galaxy sees that too. Nathan looked at the alien ship, then at the city below. Millions of people going about their lives, unaware that everything had just changed. "They are going to learn about us eventually," he said. "The Kresh, the Council, all of them. They are going to learn that humans are dangerous, but also honorable, fierce, but fair, that we keep our promises and protect our friends." "Let us hope they learn quickly," Ryan said, "because in 5 years or less, we are going to war, and the galaxy is about to see what happens when you threaten Earth." Helen turned from the window. "Then we had better get ready. We have a lot of work to do." The first contact had been made. The terms had been set. Now humanity had to prove it deserved its place among the stars. The children of the Deathworld were about to rise. Her. Doctor, one more thing. The progenitors kept asking themselves a question. Why did humans survive when they should have died? They never found an answer. Perhaps you will have better luck. Dr. Yenna thought about it. She thought about Jake Morrison running into a burning building, about Lisa Carter working 24-hour shifts to save strangers, about humans climbing mountains because they were there. I think I know the answer, she said. Humans survive because they have something worth surviving for, each other. She left the archive carrying the weight of 50,000 years of warnings. The galaxy was about to change. The question was whether anyone would listen before it was too late. It out soon. They were clever like that. Persistent. Determined. What will you tell the council? Dr. Yenna asked. Vera thought about everything they had seen. Humans jumping from aircraft for fun, running into fires to save children, climbing mountains because they were there, choosing not to destroy themselves when they had the power, going to space in primitive machines because they wanted to explore. I will tell them the truth, Vara said. The progenitors were right to be afraid. These humans are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. Should we recommend quarantine? That will not matter, Vara said as the jump drive activated and stars began to blur. Sooner or later, they are coming out here. And when they do, the galaxy will never be the same. The observation ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth behind. On the planet's surface, in a facility filled with radio telescopes and computers, Amanda Price looked at her screen. She had been searching for signals from space for years. Everyone had told her it was a waste of time, that humanity was alone. But now she had data. Something had been in the asteroid belt. Something that moved and then disappeared. Amanda Price smiled and began writing her report. The universe had just become a lot more interesting. The vote was close, but it passed. An observation team would be sent to watch the humans from the shadows. They would gather data, compile reports, and return with answers. As the ambassadors filed out of the chamber, Dr. Yenna remained, staring at the blue planet on the screen. She touched the data showing its classification. Class 115 Deathworld, and something lived there. Something that climbed mountains in freezing storms and laughed while doing it. She thought about the progenitor warning. Born of chaos and cannot be broken. What had the humans endured to make the galaxy's greatest civilization flee in terror? Dr. Yenna was afraid she would soon find out.